Okay, so going through what we did this last week very quickly. All right, so I have my arm mesh here, and now I have my model, but my model's not ready for rigging because it's not clean yet. Yes, the UVs are laid out, chunk, but I still need to make sure that I delete the history and I do a modify freeze transformations on it. Now and only now am I ready to rig. So let's see, I go to the animation menu set and I just grab my joint tool and I click X. I usually grid snap these guys. There we go. And all right. Okay, computer's getting a little twitchy here. Okay, so once again, if I need to move a joint, all right, I want to do it with holding down D. Okay, if I just move the joint, everyone below him moves, and so that looks pretty good. So you must place it where you want it to rotate. It's scary I have to even mention that, but yeah. So, all right, and you don't have to work with your hypergraph up, but you do need to know what's going on in the hypergraph. So a lot of times I don't have it up, but I'm well aware of what I am doing and where I am. All right, so let's zip this over to here, and so this is going to be shoulder skin. This is going to be elbow skin. And this is going to be wrist skin. Oh, I forgot to label this left or right. Okay, yeah, no big deal. I just go up here to, let's see, search and replace names, and say, hey, find skin, and replace it with, if I'm doing the left side, _L skin. Okay. So, it's not a big deal if you make a mistake. You just have to make sure you correct it, okay? Because rigs are one of those things that just has to be perfect. All right, so now, and once again, the joints cannot have anything in any of the rotations, anywhere in the hierarchy. So when I'm doing an operation on this guy, if I have a rotation in the wrist skin, that will cause problems. So only translates when you're doing your rigging. Okay, so now we got to sort out these the joint orientation axes, and okay, and so to do that, most of the time it's as easy as doing a let's see, orient joint and the option box, and X is our standard. Secondary Z going into the negative X, and bam. So that has just lined up my Z axis with the world's negative X, and my X's are going precisely down the line. Now, the bottom guy, we messed with him in class, not because it was actually going to really cause a problem, but when the other guys don't line up, all right, and the tool does not work, and it frequently doesn't, you have to manually go through and change these. And so the reason we worried about it was to just be tidy, and for me to show the fact that you have to go into component mode, grab the question mark, and then very carefully rotate it, okay, so that it lines up. All right, so that's why we did that. So educationally important this time, but for this time it wasn't actually technically required. Alrighty, so then we talked about skinning. Make sure everything is named before you go to skin. So bind skin, smooth bind, and the option box. So right now I'm set up for joint hierarchy. I typically do it this way, with these guys selected, and then I can do selected joints. And I hit apply, and bam. Okay, and so I can take a little bit of a test, and there we go. So Now you're going, oh, you're not supposed to rotate it. It's like, yeah, but I set it back to 0. As long as I set it, I can test it, and it's not a problem. All right, but while I'm rigging, I need to have that 0 zeroed out. Okay, so but that's that's looking pretty good. So then to paint the skin weights, that was pretty straightforward. Oh, you notice I forgot to smooth these guys. It's too late now. Okay, so I'd have to pull off the skin weight. Well, actually, maybe I could. Let's give this a try. Everything's an opportunity for teaching. Okay, fine. Component mode, edges, and these guys off. There. Okay, zip. Constrain. Let's see, normals. So that's polygons, normals, soften. Then pop to objects mode and edit, delete by type, non-deformer history. So now my skin cluster is preserved. So that's an important distinction to make. So when you screw something up, that can keep you from having to pull everything apart. All right, so getting back to the painting of the skin weights, animation, and it's this guy here, but it's also here under, oops, smooth skins, and then there's going to be a paint skin weights. I know that's a little bit off your screen. All right, so zip, zip, zip. Okay, so I'm going to turn off color. I think it's easier to start learning this stuff in just simple black and white. So I like to use add, and I use a small number. And so I'm just going to go through here and say, okay, all of you guys, you have basically 100% allegiance to that upper joint. So when this vertex, here moves, it's going to bend with that joint and that joint only. Okay, and so I want to have a hard edge. Let's see, B to change the brush size. Just like in the other parts of Maya, that tool's the same. So, okay. So, all right, so I'm going to be softer and grayer back here, and I'm going to be sharper edged in there. You're going, well, yeah, but you're gray in there, Steve. Yeah, I know. But to get that, I have to instead pull the value over here to the lower limb. Okay, so that's the way you have to think about this. Okay, and zip, 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 zip. Yeah, you see the color ramp really helps you figure out what your values are. But okay, and then we test. Okay, yeah, so then I rotate it and I see how it's folding, and you just have to work it until it's perfect, and that's all there is to that. There's a few fancier tools to help you on the way, but you have to use that and do the painting. So I'd say start off with doing the painting. Worry about the fancier tools a little later on, because they rely on that core skill set there. Okay, so now building out this particular rig, we set up some controllers. So it's just a NURB circle, and I'll just expand it out, the radius a little bit. Okay. The goal here is to get something that's easy to select from all angles. So don't worry about what numbers I'm using. You have to make your own decisions. All right, and so let's see. This guy's going to be shoulder, L underscore L underscore L. Well, anyhow, and then anim. Because this is what we want our animation staff to touch, right? And so, okay, 16 sections. I'm happy with that. Okay, so I will do a edit, delete by type, history, and I will do a modify freeze transformations now that I'm finished with that. So as you see, I'm now back to 0. Okay, so now what I like to do and the way I work is I then just duplicate that guy. He says optimistically. Oh, there's the problem. I've been working on a PC and I'm using the wrong key. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate him and do a wrist left anim, and yeah, I saved one, maybe 2 button clicks by duplicating instead of making a new one. But these are the things that speed you up. Okay, so let's see. Going to component mode, I will just rotate this guy sideways, so that way I leave my rotations completely empty on him, and good. And maybe scale him down there as well. So, okay. All right, so he's named, he's in position, so I'll also do a freeze transformations on him and duplicate this guy again, and I'm just going to hold down V and V snap him, revert snap him to the elbow, shift it out, so now that's aligned up in two axes, and then I can design out another icon, and finger on the wrong hotkey. Funny how that works. Alrighty, and alright, it's not a brilliant design, but it's done. Elbow. Okay, so this is obviously the elbow. Anim, and okay, so he's in position. He needs to get parented. So watch what happens to his transforms when I parent him. So, okay, so he's changed where he was, and then I'll just do a freeze transformation. Okay, so, I was supposed to put tag that with a PV for pole vector. You see, the second time through this, it is easier for you guys just because you've seen it once, you know where we're going with stuff, and it hopefully will make a bit more sense. Alright, so I'm going to grab the IK handle tool. So I was going to grab it off the shelf, but alright, there we go. So make sure it's rotate plane solver. And click there, click there. Great, that gives me a handle. And you label it wrist underscore L underscore IK handle, or whatever your naming convention is. Chunk. And great. So that's happy. And before I even test it, since I'm confident it's going to work, I pop over to here and I just parent that under the wrist left anim there. Okay. And so then I can move it around and I can test. Yay! Okay, we have the ability to make animation. Alright, and this means I can pull that out again, but my animation is safe on the curve there. So that's an important little factor. Alright, so then we need to set up a pole vector constraint. So that's grabbing the pole vector first, grabbing the IK wrist second, and I go to constrain and pole vector. Chunk. And so this defines the third plane of my of the rotate plane solver. So we have 1 point, 2 point, 3 points. That's a plane, and that determines which axis this thing will bend in. Oh, yeah, if you didn't build your model with a crick in it, you have to rotate your elbow temporarily, right mouse button, set preferred angle, then rotate it back. And then Maya knows, oh, that's the axis that you want it to bend on. Okay, now that I have the pole vector there, I just turn off the visibility on that I key handle so I don't select it. And I think that's it. I think we have something working for you guys. Okay, so, and this means I can animate, put that up there, take this, rotate it, and as you see, the elbow goes with it. I can also say, hey, move that elbow around manually. So I have nice control there, and I can put it back to where it was by zeroing it. And so there, being able to zero out that rig is really important. And that's the basics. Okay, that's the basics of to get you started on rigging. Your character is going to be a lot harder than just this, but these are your core principles that you work with as you build your character rig. Hope that helps. Have fun. Okay, so one additional thing, this is actually over on the game rig, but the principle is the same, is we just want to do, for the shoulder control, we need to do a point constraint. So that's grabbing the shoulder anim first, grabbing the shoulder joint second, okay, and then I go to constrain and point constrain, and then I can just grab that guy and move it at the shoulder as well.